get my bearings, so forgive me in advance. Okay. Television remains one of the most important mediums worldwide for disseminating information and providing entertainment. In Nigeria, we have quite a few television stations, and the panel we're going to see here today are some of the biggest leaders in the television space. So please join me as I welcome Adedeji Adeniyi. He's the CEO of Group 8 Africa. Welcome. We also have Ayo Animashao. He's the founder, CEO Hip TV. Okay, maybe Ayo is still out in the hall. Let's welcome Agatha Amata. This Iron Lady is the founder of Rave TV. Welcome, Agatha. Thank you. Okay, here is Ayo. We also have Charles Novia. He's the chairman and founder, Teen Africa TV. We have Yinka Obebe, founder and CEO, Pop Central. Welcome, Charles. Welcome, Yinka. Okay, we should have the executive director and CEO, Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board, Shaibu Hussein. I understand he's not yet here. We hope he'll be able to join us before we finish. Okay, I'm just going to go quickly into this topic. The panelists are going to do most of the work because, as I told you a few minutes ago, I'm not on very sure grounds here, so forgive me, okay? Let's backtrack a bit. Before now, television was largely, let me see that, right? Thank you. Before now, television was analog. But in the last several years, there have been so many innovations in that space. It's gone digital, you have streaming, you have all sorts of different platforms. So we're going to ask the panelists to tell us a bit about the different formats available. Ayo, can we start with you?
I'm wondering why me. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, evolution of television, right? Okay, so when I was growing up in Nigeria, we had only one TV network. It was called NTA, still called NTA, and it started 4 p.m. every evening and ended just a few minutes to midnight. Before it starts, you first see those lines, it's very interesting, Then you could, remember all the, the programs and all that. When you had the days where we had the children programs and weekend days by moonlight. They were, NTA, they were actually making content at that time because, you had just a few hours, 4 p.m. to midnight. Then you wait till, the next day. Remember, I'm sure you guys that are like my generation and older, you remember all the soundtracks, for NTA News, Days by Moonlight and Village Headmaster and some of those programs that we had at that time. And that was how we started here. There was no digital network, there was no internet at that time. Then we moved to another phase when number one, they were 24 hours. We had a few independent TV channels where there was AIT. I remember there was Clapperboard. I'm sure that some of you guys, you can tell these stories better than me because at some point I was just into music journal, magazine, and all that. And fast forward to now, when we have, a few years back we had cable channels, who were responsible for showcasing our content to to Africa. We had um, at that point was this guy's people. Yeah. Huh? Oh, this part I'll leave it to him because I'm even asking him questions about it. The DBN and the other guys, you know, those LA guys, you know, the guys Bayo or something that did the Pija, what's his name?
Oh, something engineering, disc engineering.
Disc engineering, yes.
Yeah.
Or everybody messed with television at that time. But fast forward to later when we now had DSTV. And we could see content across the continent. We could watch. Now I'm an Arsenal fan. There was no way in the world I would have been an Arsenal fan if not for DSTV, and we need to give them a lot of credit for that. We were able to see all the other content, you know, from around the world. Then live television. There was nothing like live at that time. There was no live transmission at that time. Then we now went into the era of live television. You could watch matches live. The only match we watched, the set of matches that we watched live was when Nigeria was playing and NTA transmitted the African Cup of Nations or World Cup live. But then live television became a thing, but not events, just sports. Just sports. Then, of course, the programming now started and we could watch programs from across the continent. Before internet changed everything. YouTube, then streaming changed everything, and you know the story. So this is the story that everybody knows. I'm the one telling the story, you know. But that's the little I can.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you so much. You've laid the foundation, so now we know how television evolved in Nigeria. What I'm going to do right now is I want each person to tell us briefly the focus of your channel. Right? Let's start with you, Yinka.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to do that. We are Pop Central, and I'd like to say that we're perhaps the ones that are quite very different from every other channel or TV in terms of our makeup. One of the best ways to describe us is to say that we're the YouTube of TV. And what that means is that we do not necessarily want to create all of our programs by ourselves. We want to democratize the concept and the system of doing that. So what basically Pop Central is that we have built studios, spaces, and we allow creators come in and tell us what they want to do. And if we like it, we have to like it too at some point. You know, we'll produce it for them. We have writers, editors, and all of that in the studio. And once we do that, we put it on the channel and we monetize it together. So that's basically what Pop Central is, you know. And of course, we're very, very much a live channel as well. That's another thing that we bring to the table. We've always wanted to be that channel that tells you everything going on, you know. So one of our pitches while we were, you know, at DSTV is that we're social television. So our system and setup is set up from day one to be very live, you know. So with our tech team, it doesn't take 20 minutes to get whatever we're doing here, to get it on there. So we're digital, even in the way that we connect to DSTV is completely IP, completely digital. So that digital end for live and the democratization of being able to put your content on our platform, monetizing it and cutting you a check.
Thank you. That's interesting. Is there any particular type of content or anything?
Oh, it's so when you look at Pop Central, first of all, we're very Gen Z focused, colorful, and very, very unserious looking in that sense, you know, because we just want to talk to those much younger people. But as we found in the past 6 years, we have content for older people as well, you know, older people. So all kinds of content is available, and we're very, very eclectic. I mean, you watch Pop Central, you see all kinds of things. There was a time we had a show about pets. There was a time we had shows on Central, medical, on all kinds of things. So very, 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 very extremely eclectic.
Okay, thank you. Charles, let's go to you.
Right, thanks. Teen Africa Television is the first, proudly say the first channel for teenagers, 24-hour daily channel for teenagers in the continent. We're on channel 315 on DSTV and channel 91 on GoTV. We started a couple of years ago on the continent and broadcasting through the DSTV medium to other African countries apart from Nigeria. The station basically is for the teenagers, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alpha, as it were now. The 13 to 22-year-old demographic, sometimes 23-year-old. So, but the fulcrum of our programming basically has to do with 95% original content. So the teenagers have their own platform for creative expression. They have their own talk shows, drama series, musicals, everything that has to do with the teens. That is what Teen Africa is all about. We have a talent management department, talent search department. We go out, find bright sparks, young talents, and they go through a process of what we call teen incubation. We sort of train them, to be broadcasters, to be actors, to be, it's just like a creative academy by itself too. And in that regard, we want to be the fulcrum for youth activities in terms of the younger generation, catching them young, both for brands and for the talent system and even the educational system. So our programming is, because you have to catch the teenagers through entertainment, so it's about 60% entertainment, which is called entertainment, and 20% educational, and then 20% lifestyle. So we train them. Let me just add that we train them. When they finish, they can go into other platforms like Pop Central and Hip TV. So that's what we do.
Thank you. Okay, Aya, let's go back to you.
Okay, yeah, you can hear me. Sorry, if you've not heard of Hip TV, can I see your answer? I don't want to know where to start from. Okay, so I assume that you have an idea of what we do. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so Hip TV is an urban culture channel, music and lifestyle, and we call ourselves a break from the norm. When Hip TV started, there were a lot of music channels already. We don't like to call ourselves a music channel because we do a lot more than that, and that's why there won't have been any reason if we were coming to do what others were doing. So we came in with a lot of excitement to pretty much show the world the other sides of all those superstars that that you don't get to see on TV. So we do a lot of behind the scene interviews and a lot of exclusive content. We invested a lot of money in live broadcast, so we do a lot of live events, production. When there's a big event there's music or concert, it's probably going to be on Hip TV. That's where you see them. We also did a lot of exclusive content that it was only Hip TV cameras. We didn't say that the artist wanted that, and I'll give you examples. When Two-Face was getting married in Dubai, it was live. It was only on Hip TV. When T-Buse and Tiva Savage was getting married, it was only on Hip TV. Only Hip TV cameras live. We didn't just do it live. We did all the makings, all the things that they don't want you guys to see because they trust us, so we know. And the things they want you to see, or the things that they think you shouldn't see, but we think you should see, we'll put because they have their private lives too. We encourage them to put those out. When P Square was getting married, it was only on Hip TV. It was live, and because of that, and because there's internet, there's a lot of traction. People get to talk about all these things. We also are the organizers of the biggest and most prestigious music awards, the Eddies. Please pardon me for saying it like that. It's just the truth. I'm sorry. Yes, and we put a lot of work with that. So what we pretty much do is celebrate artists, celebrate talent with our platforms, and play their music video as well. Now, what is different with us when we play music videos is that we don't just play music videos. We inform with playing our music in videos. So there's no time you see a music video on the artist. You don't see the director, when the video was released, about the artist. We run the profile as we play the music video. We don't just also do that. Anytime you switch on IP TV, you can know exactly what is happening in the country. We have this scroll that we update you, especially about everything, but especially about entertainment and music. So we kind of lace what we do with a lot of information. A lot of information. We have 28 programs that are actually, designed to cover the entire spectrum of the entertainment industry and everything affecting the young man. We have a program called Public Announcement. It's not a music program. It discusses topical issues, if it is fuel, if it is education, if it is strike, as long as you're a young man, probably age 18 to 35, that's our core audience. It affects you. It's probably going to be on IP TV. And if you would put together, just check on your phone now, all the music platforms or all the guys are in our space, all their social media followers or traction, put all of them together and check IP TV. We're probably more than all of that, and it's a lot of work. With due respect to some of my colleagues doing exactly what we do, we put in a lot of energy and sweat to. I hope I'm not selling. Thank you.
I am going to take you to task after we leave here.
Please.
You have men, you don't have women. What about the young women?
Oh, sorry, I'm referring to everybody.
Okay, so it's not just men.
Yeah. When I say
Young
the young
men.
man, when I say the young man, I mean a young person. Please excuse my
Thank you for that clarification. Deji, let's go to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adeniji Adedeji. I'm COO at a company called Group 8. Group 8, we like to call ourselves a media tech company. And in Group 8, we've got about, say, between 12 and 16 TV channels. We've got about 20 radio channels in Nigeria, with 6 in Kenya. And within our business, what we've done is to break our operations into 3, which is create. That's where you find all our television channels. So we've got Sound City, which is music and lifestyle. We've got Spice, which is fashion and lifestyle. We have Tribes, that deals with Nollywood movies. We have Televista. We have Access 24, which is news. We've got a channel for the Christians, which is called Life. We have another channel for the Muslims, which is called Umar TV. So that's what we do with Create, and we've got Activate, where we are able to string everything you see on TV to proper experientials. That's where we do all the big shows, all the concerts. Then you take all of that happens within the concert and create a separate content and bring it back to television. So we found a way where you can take stuff offline and bring it back online and string it to digital as well. And within our business, we have the radiates, although we're not talking about radio here. We have radiates where we have Sound City Radio, Urban Radio, Access 24, and all the likes. The same thing we've replicated in Kenya. Within the country, if you're familiar with numbers, there are about 118 million people, which is called the universe, within Nigeria, of people who listen to radio and watch TV. We own about 32% of all of that within Nigeria. So we want to say, with our property, we can say that we're the biggest in terms of media, which is not just television, which is television, radio, digital. In terms of formats as well, the evolution of the company came from doing TV commercials, to making movies, to doing drama series. Maybe you guys remember Everyday People. There's Everyday People. There's Dominoes, yeah, and a couple of all of those stuff that we used to do. Then we evolved into creating syndicated programming across television stations, and that's how Sound City started. Before we got into the whole cable, and we've been able to create channels for every Nigerian to consume. Most importantly, initially we were focused on winning Nigeria before we even transcended to Africa. So right now you can watch all our channels across board, and now we have, we have this whole digital thing going on, and I can say we're the first set of people who digitized our FTA. FTA, as we know, is your terrestrial television, and the channel is called On TV. And you can watch On TV across board. It's a general entertainment channel where also all of the things we put on, let me say 90% of the things we do are being original content by us. Then we took a leap where we spoke to people who license content to us. We buy content. We don't believe in profit split, because at the end of the day, we started as producers as well. And when you do profit splits with producers, at the end of the day, the producer is waiting forever to get that money from advertising. So it might not be a lot, but at least we pay for that. We license that content. Now, let's come to the present world. In the present world, it's all digital, and I think we're I don't want to say we're kind of leading in that space of digital. We're kind of living in that state of digital. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Adidiji. It's getting very interesting because there's so much. We've come a long way from the days of NTA. You know, there's so much to see. At times you take your remote control and you're just going from channel to channel. There's so much to see. Agatha, tell us about Reef TV.
Okay, so Rave TV is basically interactive. By virtue of my background and what I used to do, I wanted to create. What I found interesting is why a lot of people were on the internet is because they have a voice, and the present generation don't want anybody just talking down to them without their being able to react. So Rave TV is essentially interactive TV, where you can talk to us across all our programs by whatever means you find, WhatsApp, Facebook. I mean, you'll be getting your response real time. You can do, what's that thing? I'm not very techie. What's that one where you come up, the photograph? It's English that is failing me. It's not that I don't know it. Anyway, whatever platform you choose. So we have our morning. I personally have, because there's so much entertainment going on, as you've seen. Yes, it's good to be entertained, but you know, Nigeria, it's hard. So I feel like there must be a platform where we can talk about the things that affect us, even while we are getting entertained. Petrol is now over 1,000 naira. So while we are dancing, we should realize that you're going to buy petrol. To be able to get feedback, and one of the things I think we've been able to do well, and that I have found out because of Rave, is that there is a very huge northern youthful population that want to be heard. We're very big in the north, somehow deliberately. There's, I'm not sure if I should say this publicly, but there are a lot of platforms that are not registered. It's not DSTV, it's not Start Times. There's a huge population out there. I don't know how many people know Free TV, the one that you don't pay anything for. The numbers there are huge, and they're not taken into consideration. So the first thing when we got into that space was that we found out that we were getting a lot of calls from the north, the east, places like Kwara, and they were very knowledgeable people who wanted to have a say in what's going on in the country. They were like, it was like, thank you for considering us, thank you, we're able to get you, and all of that. So that mattered to me, and it made me realize that having interactive TV is very important. These are areas where their internet penetration is less than, I don't know whether to say zero. The people who have to take their phones and be moving all around the building trying to get service. Because sometimes we forget that Nigeria is bigger than Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and all these urban places where people have access, that there's a huge population that really doesn't have access to a lot of the things that we talk about here, the DSTVs, all these, they don't have access to that. And they're still Nigerians, and they count. And if we want to make a difference in this country, they have to be heard, because they are the ones that are used for trouble. And those for me are very important. And so for Rave, that really is my target, to reach those kind of people. And the numbers are huge, I tell you. The numbers are huge. I remember we were on air one time, and somebody came on air with their phone and they were recording a kidnap. We've had situations where those herders are being recorded, and they're sending it to us live. So we have a community with Rave where everyday individuals are reporters. No matter how many reporters you have, if you have the people on your side, you have the biggest team in the world. And we've tried to include them in that and let them know that your opinion matters. You have a voice with us, and whatever you say, we will take seriously. I think that's essentially what Rave TV is. That's what it was created to be, and we're still growing on that. And also for that reason, we're trying to get on as many streaming platforms, because again, moving into the future as possible, so that you do not, with what Ayo said about evolution and all that, there are very few people who can sit in front of their TV all day. But if you want to watch Rave, I'm not really concerned with creating my own channel, my own app or anything, but to be available on as many apps as possible, because that way a lot more people can have access. That is, so it's supposed to be interactive TV everywhere you go. That's the aim. Yeah.
Wow. Let's give them a round of applause. There's a lot of innovation here, all of them. Okay, so we've talked about the interesting things you are all doing. Being Nigerians, we know that it could not have been easy to achieve any of this. So let's look at the challenges. Let's start with Charles this time.
So the challenges are myriad, as it were. It's not easy. I think one of the positives, or I don't know whether it's a positive, but let me use it. One of the positives of being in Nigerian is that whatever it is that gets thrown at you, you sort of adapt and you find a way to, thrive in spite of whatever it is that has been thrown at you. But running a 24/7 channel and a niche channel, because from what you've seen, all of us have niche channels, as it were. Mine is specifically very, very niche, because it's you're generating content from scratch. I come from a production background, being a Nollywood filmmaker. Before I delved into television media, but we create original programming, we broadcast. So the content itself, because we are sort of, as it were, the first doing that kind of thing, you have to create content, you have to do a lot of research for the audience you're trying to reach. And it's a general entertainment channel, so you do drama series, you do live shows. We have 4 live shows daily and all that, so we have to do live shows daily, 4 live shows daily, and apart from other content we do. But the most important thing, I'm sure everyone here would agree, all on the panel here would agree, is the operational cost. The diesel we spend, broadcasting 24/7, our power systems. How much is diesel now, per liter? And you have to run your power systems, your backup systems for 24 hours. You're paying a lot of cost. Most of the time, stations thrive through advertising support, but this year has been particularly crazy for a lot of brands, not even stations, but a lot of brands too have been affected by the economy. A lot of adjustments have been going on, but whatever it is, you have to still keep on doing it. In terms of our peculiarities in our own operational stuff, you're dealing with teenagers, so we have different departments. Then I am, as the CEO, of course I have heads of different departments, but one of the things I tell people is that my heart is always in my mouth. It's time we have the teenagers out on location and all that, because parents have actually entrusted their children in your care for the period that they are with you. So if anything happens, there's nothing you are going to say, and all that. So we have this system where I remember a couple of years ago, we finished a live, because we have one of our most popular programs, the Stain Street Live. It shows 5 p.m. every day. So we finished one of those programs, and there was a live audience, and teenagers and the students. So they by 6 p.m. said they should go home. They finished so they go home. But one of the guests, teenagers that came on the program, because we have a bus, so they'll take them to the bus stop, nearest bus stop or something, and all that. So they dropped them, and so I went home that day, and by 11:30 p.m. my phone pinged, and it was the producer saying that the parents of the teenager had called, they had not seen the child, and the child was supposed to have been home since 7 p.m. And so panic, started tracing. It was about 4 a.m., in the morning, sleepless nights, we were calling, the child actually was found, and had entered this bus, One Chance bus, this One Chance bus that took them straight to Shongo Tedo, that far stole. And so that was a turnaround for me, and I said, okay, you know what? So we cut off anything that had to do with live audience for that particular program at that time. And then I started saying, anytime producers want to shoot beyond a certain time, we've made arrangements with accommodation and Airbnb. So it doesn't matter whether it is, just go and put the teenagers there, let them sleep there that night. And so, those are the things you will not see behind the scenes. But running the television station, generally on this part of the world, you are squeezing blood out of stone more often than not, than getting water to drink, as it were.
Thank you, Charles. That was a scary one. Thank God that child was found. Pop Central, what challenges have you faced?
Which of them? Okay, I think I'd just say that most importantly, the challenges have been funding the kind of content that you want out there. And because of our peculiarity of bringing in diverse people, I mean, like I said, think of us like Instagram, like YouTube, or any of those places. Everybody can just come make their content, although there's a quality control and there's the audience thing. So what we'd really love is to have some sort of fund where creators can access these funds and be able to make anything they want to make. When I go out of Lagos, everybody's asking, when is Pop Central coming to Abuja? When is Pop Central coming to all of these places? For a regular TV channel, that would have been unnecessary. But because of the setup of Pop Central, they know we have a hub, and they know they can converge in our spaces, and they just want to do that all the time. So largely, I think it's been being able to get the kind of, because if you look at the entire TV platform, I mean, with due respect to everyone, if you put everything together, it's not quite as big as it should be. In terms of what it should be, it's not quite as big as what it should be. And one of the very important things about TV is just not one of, it's about content. People watch when there's something there, And one of the things that's helped us is because our system is organic. So if you see anybody making any show on our channel, his neighborhood is watching. If you get what I mean, if that makes sense. His schoolmates are watching because he's a regular next door person like them. Yeah. Otherwise, you need a lot of funds to be able to build the kind of content you want to build. In terms of infrastructure, of course, the DSTV infrastructure has helped. The social media, which we're very big on as well. We built an app a couple of years ago, and Apple actually nominated us as the top 5 best apps in Nigeria as from 2020. Yeah, I mean, fantastic app. It's I can say, I mean, I've seen my Egbons that have been saying all the amazing things that they're doing, but I can say that nobody has an app like ours. Never. They've never been able to build anything like that.
Let's give him a round of applause.
You know. But what is the question with the app? You build an app, you need to fill it up. Yeah. Which is why I agree with from Rave TV. I mean, so at the end of the day, you're talking about content, funds for content. And that's what I believe is and it's endless. If you look at the example with Mr. Novia, you probably want to have like a sprawl of spaces where these teenagers can come in for a few weeks. You're not supposed to be thinking about that and calling anybody, any policeman anywhere. You know, it's just the conditions are just a bit unhealthy, and you know. So if those are the challenges, if those are challenges, absolutely, those are largely some of the things that we've faced. But as you can see, we're thriving on with it, and essentially for us, we're also not necessarily a traditional channel or platform. When you asked me, should you say Pop Central TV? I said, no, don't say TV. We're not. TV is one of the things we do.
Yeah.
We're about a lot of other conversations around that particular demography and space. Thank you.
Thank you. Agatha.
Okay, so I don't want to talk about, it's not peculiar to rave, so what I want to say is three things. Anybody who has TV, we're supposed to have gone digital by now. They keep shifting it, and billions keep being spent that we never see. There is no level playing field. You have the government establishments, you have private establishments, you have cable, and all of this is working in the same market. Advertising revenue. So, as Rave TV, as Pop Central, are you terrestrial? So, everybody here is digital, but they're still terrestrial. And the funds are limited, and I'm going to try and explain that. There are still people who are more in number, who can watch a few channels without a decoder. And there are more. And then they are still on the decoders. So as an advertiser, a lot of people don't realize that there are many states in Nigeria where they only have NTA.
Yes.
That's the only thing they have. Even if NTA works for only 3 hours, NTA will get more advertising revenue than all of us.
Because they're everywhere.
Because they're everywhere. So NTA doesn't even, you know, people wonder why NTA doesn't do content the way a BBC and they don't send you. That's the truth. That money is coming because there are many places where people don't have a choice. So if an Airtel, MTN, all those people want to advertise and they want it national, they won't come to anybody here. That's the truth. With their very limited budgets where people are declaring losses,
Trillions.
and people advertising revenue is going out, is shrinking, they have to be wise. You can't blame them.
Okay, I have something to say about that.
Wait, please, let me finish. Please, let me finish. Now, when they now have specific target audiences, that's where these ones come in. That's where we come in. They have a particular ad for music. They're now going to say Hip TV, Sound City. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They know they're talking to a particular demographic, or they're going to go to social media. But as I speak, NTA is still oversubscribed. I am in the advertising place, so I know. They still get the advertising revenue. That's one. That's in terms of markets and advertising. Then there's power. I have gone off, is it Nepan, what's it called now? What's their new name? PHCN. Because they brought me a bill of almost 5M, and I'm buying diesel. And I don't have advertising like that. And I'm telling them it doesn't make sense. They tell me I'm an industrial band A. I do not manufacture anything. It's a service industry. So it was best to just tell them to wrap their wire.
And go.
So I use solar and generator only. I had no choice because it is cheaper for me to do that than for me to use PHCN, which is ridiculous, especially when you're running 24 hours. These are challenges. Then let's talk about even the equipment we have. We don't produce anything in this country. If a bulb in your camera blows, you are buying in dollars. We don't produce nothing. We can't get anything here. So these challenges, Ayo has OBs. I'm sure you people have OBs too. Even for your radio station, what's that you people's console? Let something happen to it. You have to start to look. You must have backup console first of all. It's not produced here.
So you don't shut down.
So you don't shut down. So, I mean, these are genuine challenges that, and then you can't even plan because today dollar is,
1,000.
all of them know dollar rates because that's the business they do. On this side, they are malams.
30.
These are the problems for any business where you cannot plan. Nothing is produced locally. You're an importing country and everything you use is foreign. Then you have power challenges and you're supposed to operate 24 hours. If anybody tells me they're making a profit, I'd have to congratulate them and call them into the corner to tell me how.
Okay. We're going to come back.
So a major problem is digitization and the lip service that has been paid to it, because it's supposed to make things easier. Using the IP because it's probably easier for a few, because yes, we are now digital, but it is still at a detriment because it doesn't give you a level playing field. Then that is all this thing I'm saying is your side hustle, because your main hustle is content. All these things are just the accompaniment to the problems. And for content to be created, he said it, you need money. You need money. How many, no matter how good content is, how many times can you show the same thing on air before people start to ask you what's going on? They are even complaining about DSTV channels now. But that's the issue. Okay, we watch Wura today, we watch Wura tomorrow, we watch everybody, is it only Wura they have, we are paying subscription. But that's the issue. So you're struggling with so many things that you don't even have the time and the energy to put into what your core business should be, which is content creation. I think that is the major problem.
Thank you. It's sad, but we'll come back to that. Aya, you wanted to say something?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say well done, guys, for keeping your platforms alive. I know it's not easy, but here's what I have to say, right? So you know what? It's a new day, and old kids don't ever open new doors. Television yesterday is different from television today. It says something. They don't even call themselves television because it has changed. This is the new television. This is where you need to produce your content and place it on any platform. Now, I'll tell you what I mean. And it doesn't mean that I have all the answers or I'm doing all the right things, but I'm trying to. I'll tell you.
1 second. You're going to the next point. Please, just 1 second. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Adedeji, let's hear your own challenges before Ayo moves on to the
It's
next.
a challenge I want to talk about, but it's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
let him, so that you can flow from what you're talking into where you're going.
So with television,
Yes.
major problem in Nigeria, funding. There's the content part of it as well. But I want to move a little away from that. There's the part of enlightenment, there's the part of education, there's the part of engagement. And this doesn't have to be with us who are running the channel. You know, we're in the Gen Z's, we are in the Gen Z age. But you know the funny thing here? Every Gen Z says they are a producer. I had a conversation with Yinka earlier. Funny enough, we've been together for the longest, went to the same university, we've worked together, you understand, and we're playing in this level. There's a major problem with education. It's not just about going to the university. I studied physics. How many people are engineers? I was reading something about one of my ex-colleagues. He lives in LA now, mechanical engineer. A lot of these people learnt on the job. I learnt on the job to be a writer, from there location manager, production manager, an assistant producer. Everybody says they're a producer. What qualifies you to be a producer first? That's also a big issue. And before you can engage people properly as well, there has to be that structure. Does government have that structure? Back in the days, we say the Just Boys are the big boys. And they still are. How many television colleges do we even have? You understand? Yeah. If you understand the rudiments, the fundamentals of being a producer, then you can move upwards. And then you can become this person. Like she said, our side also is looking for money to run our businesses. And that's why you now see a lot of TV stations. We've gone into now creating content for the streaming guys. You understand? Yeah. Now we're running around to engage the WizKids of this world and paying them $100,000 to do a concert. But that also helps us because now you're able to take and create content for brands to pay you. Then you take it offline. These days, I can tell you, I'm not going to mention the CSD company, but I can tell you this year, for next year, for the year to come, they're leading with digital. So now you now need to think about how smart can you be to create, or whatever they are doing, you key into them and lead with digital. Now your TV platform becomes the third eye because you promise them digital, you promise them radio, then you come to TV. See, now it just looks like you've carried your own problem. And exactly. You understand? Yeah. So that part too is, it's very, very key. If we're able to educate these younger ones, engage them, and empower them, how long more? For me as an individual, I'm saying to myself, you know what? Should I just go and be making content? I'll sell it to Netflix, or even Netflix. Are they really now? Are they patronizing us? We know the story. We know all of the backstories. So that's another major problem that we are not able to tackle because we're chasing the monies. When you make the money, how many content does Inka want to produce by himself? We're speaking about how he's trying to do something and you are not just understanding. But if we empower these young ones, if we engage them right, if we also educate them on how to go about it, and we can't do it by ourselves. We already have our problems. If the government can take up that headache first, then we can. I remember you and I were in a meeting in AIT, and they're saying we should bring 500 million for FTAs. You remember? And you went nuts at that meeting, like, where are we going to get it from? I can tell you for free how much advertising, because I've got an advertising background as well. I can tell you guys specifically how much money is being spent in advertising in Nigeria and how much money goes to digital now. Before you now get to television, the first thing they tell you is your rates are too expensive. For sure, if we don't have a terrestrial platform which is on TV, I don't know what's going to happen by now.
Thank you. We have a bag full of problems. Ayo, let's hear the challenge we're talking about and then flow from there into innovation. What is the way forward?
Okay, so the problems are actually, Agatha said, we have the same issues. It's basically funding. And now, how do you solve funding issues? It's very expensive to run a television network. 2 years ago and last year, I had interviews across the state in Atlanta, and I went to different television stations. They didn't look like our own here. None I saw looked like our own here. And You can mention the best television stations or put all the equipment together and they set together. None look like our own here. I was very disappointed. But then they were like donkey years. Sorry.
Ahead, okay.
Yeah, they were ahead of us.
Okay.
Ahead of us. They were like, oh wow, like I'd never been to a TV station before, but I own one. Was that bad? Was that bad? I couldn't say, okay, I'm the founder of If TV. And for real, it's a big issue. Even the ones that are owned by the government here is not close. The ones that are owned by the people that have all the money in Nigeria is not even close. Like someone said, train. We don't even have training school. They don't train. Everything is different here. Everything is different here, and so funding is an issue. We've seen this abroad. We go to conferences, NAB show, IBC. We see these things, but can we afford it? No, we don't. We can't. We can't afford it, and the funding is not supporting it. And see. Okay, we still enjoy some advertising and all that, not as much as we used to. Now, what it buys is not what it used to buy, even the ones we have. That's two. Number three, I've cancelled, I've X'd advertising in my head. And because you will just run out of business if that's what you think of, because the numbers are not adding up. The numbers are not adding up. And, like I said earlier, what got us here will not take us there. See, the advertisers, she was mentioning NTA, there's market segmentation. If you want to reach my audience, you've got to come to me. And my audience, not music, my audience, they don't just listen to music. They watch football, they also buy, they're my audience. They are not artists. All of them are not artists. They are my audience. They're young people. And I'm sure you have them as your audience too. You've got to come to me, and some of us, when I say me, it means some of us, and some of those guys that are like their age mates in some of those states that they watch only NTA. By the way, their light is not as constant as Lagos, so they don't watch NTA all the time. Band A is not there yet in some of these places. They don't even have light. See, we kind of forget that there are places, if you travel outside of Lagos or Abuja and all that they're not, that you don't have what you have in Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt or some of the cities. They're young people, but all they do is go to the farm. All they go do is ride horses and take care of. They don't watch television. They don't have electricity. They don't speak English. They're part of us. They're some of us, but they are not school. They didn't go to school. They don't have any phone with network. They don't have they don't want television. So if you want to, my audience, and you have one kind of lovely advert that you think, and you spent a lot of money and it's spoken word, you don't want to go sell spoken word and put it on NTA that they're going to be showing in, I don't want to mention anywhere. But some names of places are coming to my head. It's not going to resonate. They're not going to understand. They can't even reach it. They don't have telephone. There's no light to watch NTA. So there's market segmentation. But then the guys, now there's also globalization. There are content makers, skit makers and influencers that have the advertisers are now paying. Yeah. And it's not only in Nigeria. I was checking some things online, and some guys charge up to $1.5 million, $2 million for a post. MSNBC is not going to collect that much for adverts all week, or NBC or Fox News. $2 million for a post. $2.5 million for a post. $2 million is over 3 billion naira for a post. So it's all over the world, and we have a lot of them. It's a generation of content makers now. So it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and if some of us or some of them that have television, like it's a television channels, do not wake up, they'll forget. People will forget that there was one television station called, because the challenges are real, and we have to move to the new generation or the new platform where your content has to be king, and it has to be on digital platform, and the world has to see. and that is where we're going. That's the direction we're going. Are we all there? No. Are we going to all get there? No. Should we start making plans and making moves? Hell yeah. Excuse my French.
Okay, let me just dovetail on that, and I think we have to also give some kind of glimmer of hope. So that people start thinking in their head, okay, if these things are all like this, why are these people still in the business? Because somebody asked me that question a couple of days ago. If something is like this, why are you still? And sometimes the only answer you can give, or I give, let me use my expression at that time, is that because there's still something in the business, because we're still reaching out to people. So if I know that I'm reaching out, if it's 1,000 people watching my channel, I'm okay, because I'm spreading a message, I'm delivering a service, which is what all of us are doing. But in appropriating the challenges that we face, I think almost all the niche channels and all the channels, they also know that they have to. Digital is insurgent right now, so you have to also go digital. He said something which was very, which is also something that I also, in my own station, I've said, forget advertising. If you depend so much on the advertising, you will lose focus. Just keep doing what you are doing, and find some innovative ways of getting your stuff done. So TV by itself is still a huge audience market here in Nigeria. No matter what, a pay TV, whatever, it's still a huge. So the market segmentation is talking about is that people, just like you have on YouTube, and other people just find what they want to watch. They know what they want to go and see at a particular time. So they know they want to see this. They're going for music. They're going for fashion. They're going for that. So you need to also have that in the back of your mind when you are reaching your audience. The other thing I think he said was, he brushed it aside, but I'll bring that up in a way. I was talking about streaming, producing for the stream. Not everybody is going to be doing films as a TV channel for Netflix and all that, but you're doing that as a side hustle, as it were. But there is an inflection point presently, because Nigerians, somebody from LA was having a conversation with me last week, and Nigerian American, but he said, Nigeria, when Nigeria wants to do things, they will do things, everybody will rush once. There's a bandwagon effect on everything. So if everybody hears that Netflix is paying this, almost everybody, I'm telling you, shooting big budget films, what we never even thought was going to be possible anymore. But you're having big budget films, and the streamers only have a limited budget to acquire or license a budget. So you have a lot of people that are going to be on the waiting line for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years for films that they've shot. So where is that inflection point leading us to? It's still bringing you back to TV, one way or the other. People are still going to come back to TV. You're still going to go back to that model. It may have changed, maybe digital, it may be anything, but you still have to go back to that model and recalibrate it, because the idea of television and a DSO, the digital switch over, which you might have heard, going digital switch over, is that there's an audience out there in the suburb everywhere that has not been reached effectively, which only NTA probably is reaching them right now. But that terrestrial audience is very heavy, in tens of millions that we are not reaching. So sometimes we judge our audiences with Lagos, Abuja, and probably a couple of other commercial cities, Port Harcourt and all that. But there are millions and millions of people. The only thing they want to, they might not be able to subscribe to the YouTubes and all that, but when they come home, they are still traditional in their viewing habits. So when they come, they switch on the TV. They know the TV channels they're going to switch on to and all that. So that is what we cater for, all of us, that will sustain this business that we're doing. So TV is not altogether, in terms of the challenges, gone. It is still that viable alternative that everybody will still have to come to.
Let me just continue from where he stopped. And it's not just TV. As we speak, DVDs still sell. DVDs, they're still bringing them in containers, and they are still selling in various parts. Then let me come to TV, and the fact that yes, I went for Mugo, so I was away for quite a while, and because I really didn't have much to do, I was, apart from when I'm carrying the baby, I'm watching TV. But here's what I noticed: despite the fact that they are digital, and I'm talking America, and they have apps and they're on platforms, they don't put everything there. They actually segmentize and repeat constantly for hours on streaming platforms. And if you want to watch the whole thing, in fact, even CNN, you can't get it on any streaming anything. If you want to watch the whole thing, you must go back to conventional TV. So they have found a way to merge both. I.e., they put interesting, in fact, if they put news out there, like NBC and co., they would repeat that news till like 1. If you want to get anything new, you must use TV. Then, when they, maybe after about 6 hours, they change the content. They give you a fresh set of content that would still repeat. And that goes across, even for their drama stations, Iron, there's quite a few. They just recycle what is on the streaming platform. So if you want fresh content, you're going to go back. So, I mean, I remember that there was, I think there was Kamala's, I think then she was trying to, her first, when she started off, and I wanted to watch it, and me, I had gone to put streaming. We had to subscribe because I had to watch it. It was not available on streaming platforms. You had to go back to traditional TV if you wanted to watch it live. If you are ready to wait 1 hour later, you'll get it. But if you want to watch anything live, you had to subscribe. And so what that told me is that even abroad, even as digital as they are, there's still room for traditional TV. Yes, if you're not in a hurry, you don't, somebody like me, I like to watch it as it's happening. I don't like to hear the results or whatever happened after. But if you're okay with, delayed reaction, then you just wait. And there are a lot of people who are not okay with delayed reaction like me, who will still continually subscribe because they need to get the news on the go. And then there's still also a generation. It's not everybody that is Gen Z. I was telling them. If the thing has broken on social media, I might not know for 3 days. Because I'm not going there. And we're still many. We still have numbers. And in talking about all of this, in fact, the most in Nigeria, for me, is radio. It's not even digital. The Malam on the street has small radio. The one in the bush has small radio. And that is where they get a lot of their information from. Not really the internet. Internet is for cities. Yeah. And the cities in Nigeria are not many, as compared with our population. And so traditional media is not going anywhere anytime soon. I have a radio station in Delta. For us to get internet, Delta State is just down the road from Lagos. Even to have things, even to make a call, we'll look up, look down, turn. And let me say something. On those sides of town, Facebook is still the most popular. Yeah. Facebook is still the most popular. And so, I mean, I try to make them in the station do Instagram. And they don't have any following on Instagram there. But Facebook, they do anything live on Facebook. So the peculiarities, it's different. It's not a one-size-fits-all that you would just say, oh, everybody, Gen Z, everybody has got. It's not true. Yeah. It's not true. And we need to know what these peculiar situations are so that we can address the way we're going. We're still, everything is like the Netflix effect. Everything is still concentrating on one very small area in a country that has close to 200 million people. Our concentration is too small. The market is huge. And the work is still plenty. There's still so much. I don't know how much internet penetration we have in Nigeria, for those of you who know. You'll know that we haven't scratched the surface. at all. So what's happening to the rest of them who don't have the kind of access that you have in Lagos or Abuja? Who's talking to them? Those are questions that we need to answer even with traditional TV. I just thought to put that out there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So basically the solution is we need to open up more, do more things, innovate more, try to get outside the box. We're going to switch a little bit because I want the audience to get in on this conversation.
Can I respond to?
You want to respond?
Yeah,
okay, please go ahead.
I'll just take a very few minutes here. I think that what she ended with now dovetails into a lot more conversations than we probably would ever have time to discuss here. I'll say this because Pop Central started as an Instagram page. We started on Instagram, and we started doing Instagram posts because we had a production company. And we said we didn't want to be a service company, we wanted to be a product. We wanted people to come pay us and not go asking for people to do stuff for them. Just look at it from that point of view. We started that and started going to parties, events, and all of that, very organic. And then we went to TV. So a lot of what she's trying to say is that the way that we look at some of these things are very bubble-centric. You hear something works, or this is what is, and everybody just wants to go ahead and do that. And what happens is that it happens in places where there are no systems, right? As she rightly said, there's been a lot of conversations about cutting cables in America and other places, and there are also a lot of counter-arguments against that, because those moves are very deliberate for certain business pursuits of certain individuals, especially in allowing the tech space use production to take over the entire, space of that industry. And something I'd also say is that you want to ensure that systems like television work, and the reason is because the conversation is not even about old or traditional or anything, and that's why I don't like the name television in the first place. Like I said, we started from Instagram. So the conversation is, what kind of content and how are you creating that content, and how are you affording to be able to do that, irrespective of where you are, whether you're on the Instagram or something. The spread of Instagram and Twitter is much lower than people think. Even Instagram themselves, it's easier for you to spend $100 than to give somebody that money. The same thing if you go on Facebook. What $100 is going to get you on Instagram, you'll get it 5 times of that on Facebook. But if you speak to the next person next to you in this room, they prove to you why they are not on Facebook and that they are not. Nobody is on Facebook. Yet with $25, you probably get about 500,000 views on Facebook. The next point is around institutions and systems, and the reason why the Americans and even the British, who started all of these things, would never let it go. The system of television creates one of the most rounded systems that allows you to have producers, writers, advertisers, business, marketing, and everything, the entire works. Yes, almost everybody you see out there on social media right now, and I have never been one of the people who say, oh, social media is a bad thing. It's good for me because we started from there, and I can easily pick my feed from there and plug it, and I can easily consume that. I know what it was like when we were trying to write news 15 years ago. No information anywhere. Now, if you take that, you want to look at it, a way to ensure that that system works properly. I remember an example. One of our co-creators, Hilda Bassi, she won a Guinness World Record. She ran a cooking show on Pop Central for like 2 years, every Sunday. It is the same route. It is the same route.
Time
at
is
the end
against
of the day.
us.
I know. Just 1 minute. I'll round this up. Second, there was a Davido show that we did as well. Going back to what she's talking about, how many people could enter TBS? We're talking about Davido. who will easily pack the place with 40,000 people. But security concerns and other things and the cost of access, you couldn't do that. Everybody was able to watch that show everywhere in the country. So the conversation really needs to go away from what is new, what is old. When social media started, people recorded with their phones. On YouTube now, people record with the highest level of cameras, Alexas and the rest. So if we're really going to have a real conversation, it's all about content, and then you choosing to place that content wherever it is. If it's of good quality, people are definitely going to want to watch. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've heard great things from our panelists, and this conversation can go on for the next 5 hours, and they wouldn't be done, but we don't have the time. So we need to hear from you, the audience, now. Let's start with the lady there.
Hello, sorry. Apologies about my voice. My name is Isioma Edibe, Project Director, Afriff, and also lawyer, partner at Panuka Artists and Sisters. It's a mix of a question and a comment. I don't know how many people know that when you look at the audiovisual sector in general around the world, especially in the developed markets, you find that television is about 70% of the market share. I mean, I don't know if we're doing the analysis in Nigeria, but the general consensus is that the TV market is practically bordering on becoming comatose. And I think this panel discussion is essentially verifying that based on the challenges. I think for me, I don't think the issue is particularly financing. And this is now where the question comes in. Yes, we're supposed to do the digital switchover, which is to create all these access into the entire country. But I think I didn't hear anyone mention audience measurement. Yes, but audience measurement is such a key part of that digital switchover. And that in itself resolves the financing issue, because you then have advertisers that can say, this show has X number of viewers, and therefore I'm going to put X advertising dollars to it. And also, it's really not the job of the TV stations to produce content, actually. It is the job of independent producers to provide that, because you will never be able to meet your content demand 24 hours. You're really supposed to be a platform. So what my question is, as practitioners in this space, I'm sure you have organizations, associations. How has your engagement, because again, you need government to do this. You need them to essentially create this enabling environment for you. How has that engagement been going, especially in light of the creative economy ministry that has been developed? Is there any progress? What's your view on the fact that you guys fall under information as opposed to creative economy? And does that affect your ability to navigate these government agencies and get them to do what you need them to do? It's a loaded question, but I think it can be answered.
Can I say something? Thank you very much.
I want to answer you.
They don't need to say it.
But I got that. Speak on audience measurement. Okay,
Thank you very much, Isioma. First things first, yeah, there's something called NPS. That reports, and you can either do NPS or Geopoll. That report is supposed to show you how many people is watching, where, the demographics, the profiling, and it's done every 15 minutes. Yeah? And ideally, that's where you now know programs that are rated, stations that are rated. I can tell you for free, in Lagos, there are about 8 million people watching TV every day. Terrestrial. Because the cables that we're all crazy about, they can't even track cables. We're all here thinking, let me say we're all elites, and we have cables at home. You understand? But it still does not allow these advertisers to say, you are mostly rated. I will put my money on your channel. You understand? That's number one. The second thing is, there's the segmentation as well. You get? And then there's also the part of the brand owners, as they call them. That's the company. You understand? there's a ripple effect of decisions from the brand owners all the way. Because from a strategic point of view, when they're doing their creative analysis, when they're doing their overarching idea, this is what we want to do, this is how we're going to do it, yeah? There's that problem from them. Then it dovetails into where they want to put their money. You understand? I can tell you there's a telecommunication company in Nigeria that will their first point of call is NTA. Either you like it or not. And they're spending so much money. They'll do between 10 to 12 to 13, 14 billion every year in terms of advertising. That's number one. Number two, this engagement with these government people is a constant engagement. Like I said earlier, when I started, I said, for people who know the numbers, there's X amount of people who watch and listen in Nigeria, blah, blah. There's a whole universe. You have the graphical representation and all of that. Now, it's turned us into not just content creators. It's turned us into problem solvers where we sit in creative sessions because we want to be able to now attend to these people's needs. That's not our job. That's the job of their creative agency initially. You're talking about these government parastatals. I can tell you I've written like 27 different creative documents. To the guy, is it creative economy? Is it information? Is it agriculture? You need the people on this platform. But it's not done. Who is checking all of that? And that's now slightly touches the guys in the NBC. I'm going to leave it at that.
Just to add to that quickly, television, I don't really think in the definition in which you put it, is not really under information. Because you're saying that it's information ministry because we are all TV stations. What we do, the services we offer as platforms for the creatives, you know, putting the distribution for the creatives as well. It's also, yeah. Oh, where we are positioned in terms of the organogram. Okay, so there should be like we actually delve more towards the creative economy. Yeah, that's fine. Agatha.
Okay, so first of all, let me tell you that there's no audience measurement in Nigeria today because anybody can claim anything. There are no figures to back it. All we know is that NTA is everywhere. That's the only verifiable fact. It's the biggest network in this country. Therefore, as an advertiser, you go there because that's what you see. Anybody else who is claiming anything is just claiming. As far as I'm concerned, until we solve that thing of the digital audience measurement, where we can produce figures that are not subject, MPS, let me not say, but MPS or media track or all those things that they are using right now. It depends on who they are talking to. If I get to my house and I turn on the TV, I can tell you the last person who watched TV. And I'm sure most of us can. If it's your house help, you will know. If it's your son, you will know. If it is your wife, you will know. So in that one household, there are different people to address. I don't know what channel shows football. I have never tuned to it. There's no match they want to show that I want to watch. I don't know what channel Z World is in. I have never watched it. But there is an assumption that it's women who watch Z World. That's an assumption. There is also an assumption that everybody watches Africa Magic something. I have never tuned to any one of those channels. Yeah, because there are many. So what I'm saying is that what we're operating now is mini, mo. I beg. This is what I say I am. It is not backed by any facts. But you know, they say in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. What we have now is MPS and media track. Therefore, it is our most authentic source. We cannot do audience measurement without going digital. So I can't be talking audience measurements when we are still terrestrial. Or analog, thank you. When we are still analog, that's the word. So how do I want to have that conversation? We're back to government. Until South Africa can give you their figures. A lot of and that's why advertising budgets are known, because they know what exactly and where they want to put money. We have the population to command budgets higher than a lot of these countries. We have it, but we cannot back it by figures. So until then, we continue to beg. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can see hands up. Unfortunately, we don't have time. We'll take just one more. Yes.
So thank you very much. I'm Anthony, and I report for Business Day. So my question is basically on content. And we see, I was discussing with a couple of South African filmmakers here about like content that we digest from channels like CBS and all that. And in Nigeria or in Africa, let me just go down to Nigeria here. We don't have such content that would bring in a lot of these, bring in numbers, because we see that reports this year has shown that subscriptions have gone down in terms of DSTV and all of that. So how can we, and basically it's content that is king. Content is basically what is going to bring people back to subscribing to these platforms. And as you said, we are all terrestrial as well and going to digital. That's my first question. What kind of content like should platforms like this be showing to get people to subscribe or to come back to TV, because we don't have as much numbers as we do in recent times? Then secondly is IP. What are you guys talking about, like intellectual properties with this content? How do they, what are the conversations like in terms of intellectual properties going from terrestrial to digital, if that's what we're talking about now?
Let me just answer you very quickly. Until we have figures, let me go back. Let me tell you, in Nigeria today, there are like 3 things that in our head, Big Brother, because by some facts, they give us some figures. When America tells you that to do 60 seconds in the Super Bowl is this amount, they tell you why. And you pay because it is guaranteed. It is backed by figures. You can't have a conversation with somebody who is bringing money without figures.
Number one, see, everyone is broke now. I'll be honest with you. Let's be honest. The advertising revenue you're talking about, even when you have the figures now, say you go digital today, it's not available. The brands don't have money. Some of the executives are my friends. I know they don't have money. What they had last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, they don't have today, and they have to spread it. The system is really bad now.
No, but if they can tell, I mean, Big Brother still got ads, I think.
You see, you have to be Big Brother to know Big Brother's problem. For real, you have to be Big Brother. It's a new day. You have to be Big Brother to know Big Brother's problem. It's always looking good outside. You know, it's for real. And there's someone that, I mean, you did your job, Mr. Kesalami. If there's someone that has to say something, please. He's done everything concerning television. He has helped a lot of television practitioners, including IPTV. He's here.
He's there.
He's just quiet. Are you quiet?
I don't know what you want me to address. Good afternoon. Okay, so we've done TV in England and we've done TV in Nigeria. And like you said, HIP TV, there's TA TV, Pop Central. Good afternoon. I think a lot of the conversation has to be around content strategy. You have to go back to content producers. Like if you release a movie, you do the cinema run before you do the TV run. So to be able to address some of the issues that we're listening to here today, is that producers have to work. I mean, I don't know how much time you have. I did a show called The Voice Nigeria. Before I did it, I was a millionaire or a billionaire. Now I'm a millionaire. So the first problem I had as a producer was paying for the show, amongst other things. The second problem was I had to pay the TV channel that I was going to show it on. But here was I producing premium content, and I was still paying for it. So I think the conversation is not one that we resolve here. It is something that has to do with what Agatha is saying, audience measurements, digital. But before we get to audience measurements, let's start having what they call a content strategy. Because you guys, TV channels will have a problem with other platforms, YouTube, the other platforms. So if we start with TV, and then you're working with the producers of the shows, and then before they go to the Instagrams and the Facebooks and everything, people can extract a lot of value, both producers and TV channels. I think I'll stop here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sadako. Please, can we give this distribution Thank you, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Please stand for pictures. He wrote down.